SpaceX just offered $60 billion for an AI coding tool, and Microsoft has been quietly plugging in Anthropic's Mythos into Windows and Azure. On top of that, we've also got ChatGPT now automating whole teams within Slack. Welcome to the Daily Dose, where I'm giving you 3 stories to keep you up to date with what's happening in the world of AI and how it affects you and your team. Okay, so you would have seen a couple weeks ago, we covered the Mythos story on the Daily Dose. And this is when Anthropic actually revealed that this really powerful model exists, but they weren't going to be launching it publicly to you and me. And again, last week, we actually then saw the White House reverse its position on Claude Mythos just because of how powerful it is. And today, the development is one that actually matters to you and your business. So Microsoft has just announced that Mythos is now embedded inside the secure development lifecycle for Windows, Office, Azure, and every other major Microsoft product out there. And we've got a quote here from Keith Prabhu, the CEO of Confidus, and he called it a seminal turning point in the secure software development lifecycle process. And quite frankly, he's not wrong. So here's why I'm covering this story, even if you don't write a line of code. This is why it's important. So 95% of Fortune 500 companies run on Azure. 65% of those then use Azure AI and Copilot directly. So if your business touches a Microsoft ecosystem in some way, shape, or form, and almost every single service business does, well, the code and the cloud platform underneath you just got a huge uplift and upgrade in its security layer. And that's because it's now built on top of Claude Mythos. And what was really cool is that Neil Shah at Counterpoint Research put it really well, saying that every enterprise running those products could benefit from the security improvement without needing direct Mythos access themselves. So really big developments here. We're seeing Claude Mythos kind of now eke into our own ecosystems, even if we don't have access to it directly. All right, so we're going to move on from Microsoft going into deep security and head over to SpaceX and see what they've got going on, especially when it comes to their AI tooling. Okay, so this one's genuinely extraordinary. We've got Cursor, the AI native code editor that most developers are now using or are already using. Well, they were about to close a $2 billion fundraise at a $50 billion valuation. Andreessen Horowitz, Nvidia, and Thrive Capital were all lined up. Well, good old Elon then walked in with SpaceX and put $60 billion on the table to acquire the entire company outright. I'm kind of getting those little Twitter vibes happening again. So with that, we saw that Cursor cancelled their fundraise. Now, even if this acquisition never closes, SpaceX has agreed to pay a $10 billion collaboration fee, which is more than most AI companies will ever raise in their lifetime. And I think this particular quote sums it up perfectly. So this was from a Business Insider, and they said, "The Hunger Games have just begun." And what this is actually telling us is that these big platforms are no longer buying AI companies for distribution or for talent. They are buying them because whoever owns the coding layer owns the production of every other piece of software. Now, SpaceX is not a software company in the traditional sense, but what this tells us is just how strategic AI tooling has become. So I would actually expect Google, Microsoft, and Meta to respond to this news over the next couple of weeks. So let's keep our eyes peeled for that, and I'll be sure to cover that in future episodes. Right. So from $60 billion drama in the SpaceX and the Cursor world to something much quieter, but arguably more useful for your daily job. OpenAI has just launched Workspace agents inside ChatGPT. Now, this is a much bigger deal than the headline actually makes out. These are Codex-powered agents that your team can build, they can share, and they can run them all together. What's cool is that they live all inside of ChatGPT, on the sidebar, and inside Slack. So it's now integrating into that world. And they keep on working even when you're not. Whole point of agentic AI is that it's taking that manual workload burden away from you and it's now doing it whilst you're sleeping. And the easiest way to think about this is if you think about those custom GPTs that you've been creating, well, they grew up and now they got a job. They have memory, they can run on a schedule, and they can write and run code. And then if you want, they can actually ask for your approval before they take any sort of sensitive action. What's even better is that OpenAI has shipped this with 5 templates that you can clone for your business today. The first one here is a software reviewer that triages IT requests. We then have a product feedback router that watches Slack and support channels. We have weekly metrics reporters. Man, that's going to be so useful for the business. And that pulls data every single Friday and drafts the narrative around it. Another piece, some things that I used to build for companies, but now it's being automated so much more, is a lead outreach agent. And that qualifies inbound and then drafts follow-ups to those leads coming in. And then finally, we have a third-party risk manager that screens vendors. And the real proof point is right here from Rippling. So Ankur Bhatt on their AI engineering team said one of their sales consultants built a sales opportunity agent with no engineering help that now saves their reps 5 to 6 hours a week on every single deal. And that is a number that you want in your head when you are evaluating this. How much time is this saving, and what are the results that are coming in based on that? And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you found this useful. I'm going to be breaking down exactly what's happening in the world of AI every single weekday with the Daily Dose. Thank you so much. Have a good one.